So a lot of people have been seeing videos of me and and my family in a negative light. But I just wanted to go ahead and bring up a couple of positive things as well. I actually, surprisingly, as much as I look back on it, I had a pretty crappy childhood, but some of it was actually pretty hilarious. One funny story I always will remember from my childhood was I remember, like, for those who'd never been inside of my house before, and trust me, with a family like mine, you never will. You see all those books? That's just a small percentage of the books that we have. The books that are in this household. We actually have a crap ton of books. It's amazing. It's ridiculous. So, um, uh, we have books on pretty much anything from religion to general knowledge to computer stuff. Literally, probably wouldn't have needed to go to school had the local government had known how many books we had in the household. We literally have like books on how to survive in the freaking wild in here somewhere. I just got to find it. Even we have books on IQ tests, but I'm getting past the point here. Well, when I was a kid growing up, mom had a book about pregnancy. Now, I was a TV kid. I was a kid who loved to watch television when I was younger, and one of the biggest things that I remember is whenever I would see a kid ask their parents where do babies come from, the parents would react in kind of a humorous way. Whether it be like, ask your father, and then the father would say ask your mother, and it'd be like a little ping pong effect. Or there would be like, they would just sort of like do a little weird little motion or something. Now, I already knew where babies came from, but I wanted to see what would happen if I asked my parents where babies came from. Because like I said, I already knew. I actually read a book about pregnancy, and it had pictures, and I knew where they came from. I didn't know that sex led to that, but I did know that babies come out of a woman's vagina. So I go to my mom and I ask, I ask both my mom and my dad, hey, mom and dad, where do babies come from? And my mom, she was in the middle of doing something, and she just stopped for a second, and she looked at me and she said, what did you say? And I said, where do babies come from? And my mom did the most terrifying thing that most parents could ever do. My mom looked at me in my eyes and said, they come straight out the cat. And if you think for 1 second that you go stick your dick in the side of a woman's cat and out comes a baby and you ain't gonna take care of that baby, I ain't gonna help you. You know why? Because you put that baby in the world, and you go take care of that baby because that's what you wanted to do. Mind you, I was about maybe 10 or 9 when I figured this out. Like I learned when I was like a single digit, because I learned how to read at a young age, and I was just reading everything all over the place. But my mom just told me this, and she just went like, my mom has a habit of putting things on a tangent, but it turned into a discussion about me having sex, to child support, which I didn't know anything about until like, I didn't know what child support was until I was about maybe like 20. And that's about 6 years ago. And that was the most hilarious thing. It was crazy. And to this day, man, I think that's like one of the, and it's like, from that moment, like when I started going to school, I was like so scared of like going, I was so scared of like even hugging a girl, because I was afraid I was going to get her pregnant, because I always thought of a hug as sexual contact. And that's that's I guess some of that has evolved into the reason why I'm so socially awkward towards women now. Because I was told where babies come from a woman who told me that having sex was good. Oh man, I had a really screwed up childhood. But hey, at least I knew that my mom was going to be honest with me. From that moment on, I knew that if I ever asked my mom a question, regardless of how ridiculous the answer is, it's going to be honest, if not hilariously honest.